Millionaire CEO dated in disguise. A poor single mom saw his pain first. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, it is free, and it is the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories like this one. Your support truly means the world to us. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let us return to the main character. The cafe was small, quiet. The kind of place people only chose when they did not want to be seen. Ethan Cole arrived 10 minutes early. Not because he was nervous, but because, for the first time in years, he did not want to arrive in control. No chauffeur waited outside. No tailored suit worth more than most people's monthly rent. No assistant texting him reminders. Just Ethan, in a plain jacket. Worn shoes. A watch he bought years ago, before his name meant anything to anyone. To the world, Ethan Cole was a billionaire chief executive officer. The man whose decisions moved markets. The man whose signature decided whether thousands kept their jobs. But tonight, he was pretending to be no one. A blind date. No title. No wealth. No power. It was his idea. After too many dinners where women smiled too quickly at his watch. After too many conversations that changed the moment his last name appeared on a screen. After too many nights sitting alone in a penthouse that echoed no matter how expensive the furniture was. He wanted to know something simple. Would anyone still choose him if there was nothing to gain? Ethan sat down at a corner table and wrapped both hands around his coffee mug, more for the warmth than the drink itself. The cup trembled slightly. He noticed. He always noticed things like that. That was when he saw her. She stood just inside the door, hesitating. Her coat was thin for the season. The kind you buy because it is affordable, not because it keeps you warm. One hand held a small purse. The other clutched a phone, cracked at the corner. She scanned the room, eyes careful. Alert. Like someone used to disappointment. This was not a woman looking for luxury. This was a woman calculating time, energy, and risk. Her name was Claire Morgan. Single mother. 2 jobs. 1 child waiting at home with a neighbor because babysitters cost more than hope. She did not come for romance. She came because someone told her it was time to try again. Because loneliness, when stretched long enough, starts to hurt worse than exhaustion. Their eyes met. Ethan stood. Claire? He asked. She nodded. Ethan? No spark, no dramatic music. Just 2 strangers shaking hands, like they were not sure they deserved to be here. They sat. The silence lingered longer than either expected. Finally, Claire smiled, small but polite. So blind dates are strange, huh? Ethan let out a quiet breath. That is one way to put it. She studied him, not his clothes, not his hands. His face. His posture. The way he held himself like someone bracing for impact. You look tired, she said gently. The words caught him off guard. Not stressed. Not busy. Tired. Ethan nodded slowly. Yeah. I guess I am. And that work. And in that moment, without knowing why, he realized something unsettling. She was not looking at what he had. She was looking at what he carried. And for the first time in a very long time, Ethan Cole felt seen. He had no idea that this quiet evening, in a forgotten cafe, would unravel the life he thought he understood. And Claire Morgan had no idea the man sitting across from her was about to test her heart without even meaning to. The waitress came over with a polite smile and 2 menus that were already worn at the edges. Claire thanked her softly and glanced at the prices, her eyes moving quickly, almost automatically. Ethan noticed. He pretended not to. So, she said, folding the menu closed. What do you do, Ethan? He had rehearsed this answer. Still, it felt strange saying it out loud. I do consulting, he replied. Nothing exciting. Mostly numbers. Long hours. Wise. I am. Pieces. That sounds exhausting, Claire said without judgment. At least numbers are honest. People are harder. Claire said. Ethan looked up at her. She was not fishing. She was stating a fact she had learned the hard way. He nodded. Yeah. People are harder. They ordered simple meals. Nothing indulgent. Nothing meant to impress. As they waited, Claire's phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at the screen and immediately flipped it face down. a small crease forming between her brows. "Everything okay?" Ethan asked. She hesitated, then smiled, apologetic. "My son. He is staying with a neighbor tonight. He hates when I am late." "You have a kid," Ethan said. "Yes. Liam. He is 6. Her voice softened when she said his name. "He thinks every place that sells coffee is magical." Ethan smiled, despite himself. He might be right. Claire studied him for a moment. "Do you have any kids?" "No," he said, too quickly. Then, more honestly, "I do not think I was ever around long enough to even consider it." She did not press. She never did. And that, somehow, made him want to say more. The food arrived. Steam rose between them, filling the space that words had not yet reached. They ate in a comfortable quiet, broken only by small observations. The weather, the neighborhood, how the calf always played the same old songs. At one point, Ethan reached for his wallet when the check arrived. Claire gently stopped him. "Let me," she said. "I asked you out." Ethan hesitated. This was part of the test. Not the money. The reaction. "I am not exactly in a great place financially," he said carefully. "I just want to be upfront." Claire nodded. "That is okay. So am I." "So am I." She paid without hesitation. No sigh. No performance. Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. When they stood to leave, Claire slipped her coat on and winced slightly as she did. "Long day?" he asked. "Long life," she answered with a small laugh. "But I manage." Outside, the night air was cold. The streetlights hummed softly. "Thank you for tonight," Claire said. "It was easy." Ethan met her eyes. "Yeah, it really was." She took a step back, then paused. "Can I be honest? Please." "You seem lonely," she said. Not unkindly. Not as an accusation. Not in a dramatic way. Just like someone who is surrounded by noise and still feels alone. Ethan did not respond right away. No one had said that to him before. Not without wanting something in return. "I think you might be right," he said finally. Claire smiled. "Then maybe tonight was not a waste of time for either of us." As she walked away, Ethan stood there longer than necessary, watching until she turned the corner. For the first time in years, he did not feel the urge to check his phone. He only felt one thing: curiosity. And somewhere deep inside, a quiet fear. Because he knew this was exactly the moment where lies began to matter. The next time Ethan saw Claire, it was not planned. That, more than anything, unsettled him. 3 days had passed since the calf. 3 days where he caught himself replaying her voice in his head while sitting through meetings that moved millions of dollars without moving him at all. He told himself it was curiosity. Nothing more. Then, on a cold Wednesday evening, his car slowed near a small community center on the east side of the city. The lights inside were still on. People were coming and going, carrying paper bags and bundled coats. Ethan asked the driver to stop. Inside, the room smelled like soup and disinfectant. Folding tables lined the walls. Volunteers moved quickly, practiced, tired. And there she was. Claire stood near the back, tying a scarf around a little boy's neck. "Liam." Ethan recognized him instantly from the way her face changed when she looked at him. "You forgot your gloves again," she said softly. "They make my fingers itchy," the boy protested. She smiled anyway and kissed the top of his head. "Next time, we try again." Ethan stayed where he was, unseen, watching. She was not dressed for a date. No effort, no armor, just herself. Focused, present, strong in a way that had nothing to do with pride. A volunteer passed Ethan a bowl without asking questions. "Eat," the woman said. "It is hot." He took it. Saturday, listened. Claire moved from table to table, checking on people by name. Asking about work. About school. About doctor appointments. She was not rescuing anyone. She was standing with them. When she finally noticed him, her steps slowed. "Ethan?" she asked, surprised. He stood quickly. "I did not expect to see you here." She glanced at the bowl in his hands and smiled. "Most people do not." "I come sometimes," he said carefully. "It helps me remember things." "Like what?" "That life is bigger than my problems." Claire nodded. "Yeah, that sounds right." They stepped outside while Liam stayed with a volunteer. The night was colder than before. the street quieter. I did not know you volunteered, Ethan said. I do not think of it that way, she replied. It is just what you do when you cannot afford to look away. He studied her. You never mentioned this. She shrugged. I did not think it mattered. It mattered to him. More than she knew. As they stood there, a man stumbled near the entrance, coughing hard. Claire moved instantly, steadying him, guiding him to sit, calling for water. Ethan followed without thinking. He held the door. He listened. He helped. No instructions. No titles. Later, when things calmed, Claire looked at Ethan differently. You did not have to stay, she said. I wanted to, he replied. She searched his face. Why? Ethan opened his mouth, then closed it. Because he could not tell her the truth yet. Because it felt right, he said instead. Claire nodded slowly. Then, maybe you are not who you pretend to be. The words landed heavier than she intended. As Ethan walked back to his car that night, he realized something frightening. This was no longer a test. And the longer he waited to tell the truth, the more it was going to hurt when it came out. The weeks that followed unfolded quietly, almost carefully. Ethan and Claire did not call what they were doing dating. They simply kept running into each other. A coffee after Claire finished her shift at the grocery store. A short walk while Liam played at the park nearby. A few minutes stolen here and there, between responsibilities that never waited. Ethan stayed consistent, almost deliberately ordinary. He never suggested expensive places, never talked about travel, never checked his phone when they were together. Claire noticed all of it. One evening, as they sat on a park bench watching Liam chase pigeons across the concrete, she spoke without looking at him. You live alone, do not you? Ethan nodded. Yes. You do not talk much about your family either. He hesitated. There is not much to say. Claire accepted that answer. But something in her expression told him she understood the difference between privacy and avoidance. A few days later, everything shifted. Claire called him in the middle of the afternoon. Her voice was tight, controlled, but he heard the strain immediately. My babysitter canceled, she said. I am supposed to work late tonight. I do not know what to do. Where is Liam? Ethan asked. With me. I brought him to work. My manager is not happy. I can help, Ethan said before thinking. I can stay with him. There was silence on the line. You do not have to, Claire said slowly. He is not easy. He asks questions. Ethan smiled faintly. So do adults. That evening, Ethan found himself sitting on the floor of Claire's small apartment, assembling a puzzle with a 6-year-old boy who took his job very seriously. Liam studied Ethan closely. My mom says you are her friend. I hope so, Ethan replied. Are you rich? Liam asked bluntly. Claire froze across the room. Ethan met the boy's eyes. No, he said calmly. I just work a lot. Liam nodded, satisfied. That is okay. My mom works a lot too. Later, after Liam fell asleep on the couch, Claire sat beside Ethan. Exhaustion finally visible. Thank you, she said. I do not ask for help easily. I noticed, Ethan replied gently. She looked at him then, really looked. Why are you doing this? Ethan felt the familiar tightening in his chest. The truth pressed against his ribs, demanding space. Because I like being here, he said. And because you never make me feel like I owe you something. Claire exhaled slowly. That goes both ways. The next morning, Ethan was back in a glass conference room downtown, listening to executives argue over numbers that suddenly felt distant. His assistant leaned in. We need you at the board dinner tonight. Press will be there. Ethan glanced at his phone. A message from Claire blinked on the screen. Liam lost his first tooth today. He stared at the words longer than necessary. That night, Ethan did something he had not done in years. He canceled the dinner. Instead, he stood in Claire's kitchen, holding a small paper cup while Liam proudly showed him the gap in his smile. You did not have to come, Claire said softly. I wanted to, Ethan replied. Later, when Liam went to bed, Claire crossed her arms, conflicted. You disappear sometimes, she said. Then you show up like this. I need honesty, Ethan. Not details. Just honesty. He nodded. I know. She waited. I am not who you think I am, he said carefully. But everything you see when I am with you is real. Claire studied his face. Are you hiding something that would hurt my son? No, Ethan said immediately. Never. She searched his eyes, then nodded. Then that is enough. For now. As Ethan left that night, the city lights reflected off his windshield, sharp and distant. He realized he was standing at the edge of something dangerous, not because he was lying, but because for the first time in his life, he did not want to run when the truth finally arrived. The tension did not arrive all at once. It crept in quietly. It started with small things Ethan could no longer control. A black car parked across the street from Claire's building. One morning, engine running too long. A call from his assistant that he ignored 3 times before finally answering in a stairwell, voice low and guarded. A headline. Claire glimpsed on a television in the grocery store break room, muted, scrolling past too quickly to read. She told herself it was nothing, but she had learned, long ago, that nothing rarely stayed nothing. That evening, Ethan arrived late, not rushed, not apologetic, just distant. Claire noticed immediately. Liam was asleep on the couch, clutching his favorite blanket. Claire gestured toward the kitchen, and they spoke quietly. "You are somewhere else tonight," she said. Ethan leaned against the counter. "Work. You always say that." He did not deny it. She folded her arms, more tired than angry. "I am not asking you to explain your life to me. I am asking you to tell me if I am walking into something I cannot protect my son from." Ethan swallowed. "No," he said, "you are not." It was the truth. Or at least, the part of the truth that mattered most. The next day, Claire's world collided with Ethan's in a way neither of them had planned. Her manager called her into the office mid-shift. The tone was sharp. Unusual. "There is a man asking for you," he said. "Up front. Looks important." To Ty Melody, Claire wiped her hands and stepped out. The man waiting was polished. Too polished for the store. His suit was understated but unmistakably expensive. His posture was practiced. "Claire Morgan?" he asked. "Yes." As in, "My name is Daniel Harris. I work with Ethan." The air shifted. "With Ethan?" she repeated. Daniel smiled, politely. "He did not tell you." "Told me what?" "That he is the chief executive officer of Cole Enterprises." The words did not land immediately. When they did, they knocked the breath from her lungs. "That is not funny," Claire said. Daniel's smile faded. "I am not joking. We have been trying to reach him. He has missed multiple board obligations. The press is asking questions." Claire stepped back. "You have the wrong person." Daniel handed her a business card. The name, the logo, real, heavy. "He did not mean to hurt you," Daniel said carefully. "But this situation is becoming difficult to manage." Claire's hands trembled as she held the card. That night, she did not wait for Ethan to explain. She did not call. She did not text. She sat on the edge of her bed, long after Liam fell asleep, replaying every moment. The coffee, the check, the puzzle on the floor, the way he always listened. She felt foolish. And worse, she felt betrayed. When Ethan arrived the next evening, she did not invite him in. "You lied," she said quietly. He froze. "You let my son believe you were someone else," she continued. "You let me believe you were safe." Ethan nodded slowly. "I never lied about how I felt." "That is not enough," Claire said. Her voice broke despite her effort to keep it steady. "You made my life part of an experiment." "It was not an experiment," he said. "It was fear." "Fear does not excuse deception," she replied. She handed him the business card. "I know who you are now." "I know who you are now." Ethan closed his eyes. "I was going to tell you," he said. "When?" Claire asked. "After my son called you family." The silence between them was heavy. Unforgiving. "I cannot do this," she said finally. "Not like this." She turned away before he could respond. Ethan stood alone in the hallway, the weight of his choices finally catching up to him. For the first time, his wealth could not shield him. And he realized something devastating. The test was over, and he might have failed the only part that mattered. Ethan did not sleep that night. He sat alone in his apartment, lights off, city glowing through the glass like a world he no longer recognized as his own. For years, silence had been his refuge. Tonight, it felt like punishment. Claire's words replayed in his mind, sharp and controlled, cutting deeper because she had never raised her voice. "You made my life part of an experiment." He had built companies from nothing. He had faced hostile takeovers and public scandals without flinching. But this was different. Because for the first time, the damage was not theoretical. It had a name. It had a child sleeping down the hall who trusted too easily. The next morning, Ethan walked into his office without his usual armor. No prepared statements. No strategic distance. His assistant looked startled when he canceled the morning meetings. "I need everything on the Morgan situation," Ethan said, quietly. By afternoon, he knew more than he wanted to. The grocery store where Claire worked was cutting hours. The building she lived in was being sold. Rent was about to increase beyond anything she could afford. None of this had anything to do with him, and yet everything did. That evening, Ethan did not go to Claire's apartment. He knew better. Instead, he went somewhere else. The community center. It was louder than before. More crowded. A line stretched outside. Donations had been cut. Volunteers were overwhelmed. Ethan rolled up his sleeves and stepped in. No announcement. No press. No name attached. He served food. Cleaned tables. Listened. When someone complained about the lack of funding, he did not promise money. He promised presence. For 3 nights in a row, he showed up. Claire noticed on the second night. She froze when she saw him across the room, stacking chairs beside a volunteer. He did not approach her. He waited. After the room emptied and Liam was distracted with crayons, Claire finally spoke. "You should not be here," she said quietly. "I know," Ethan replied. "But this place matters. To you. To him. That does not give you the right." "I am not asking for rights," he said. "I am taking responsibility." She crossed her arms. Defensive. "Responsibility looks like leaving us alone." "Then tell me to leave," he said. "And I will." She held his gaze, searching for calculation. For strategy. She found none. "You hurt us," she said. "Yes. Yes. You do not get to fix that with money. I am not trying to." Silence stretched between them. Finally, Claire spoke again. "Why are you really here?" Ethan exhaled slowly. "Because everything I built taught me how to control outcomes. And you taught me what happens when I stop trying. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching." Her expression faltered, just slightly. "I am not asking you to forgive me," he continued. "I am asking you to see that I am willing to lose everything if it means not lying anymore." That night, Claire did not invite him back into her life. But she did not ask him to leave either. Days passed. Ethan made changes that no one applauded. He delegated power. He turned down interviews. He let the board wait. Then, quietly, he did something else. He created a foundation. Not under his name. Not connected to his company. It funded childcare support for working parents. It partnered with community centers like Claire's. When the first grant arrived at the center, the director cried. Claire read the paperwork in disbelief. Anonymous donor. No press release. No ceremony. She looked up slowly and met Ethan's eyes across the room. "You did this," she said. "Yes," he replied. "And I will keep doing it whether you are in my life or not." With Sherd to Island. That was when she understood. This was not redemption for an audience. This was change. Real, costly, uncomfortable. She still did not trust him. But for the first time since the truth came out, she believed him. And somewhere between broken trust and quiet action, a door that had slammed shut cracked open just enough to let light back in. The invitation arrived on a plain white card. No logo. No gold lettering. Just a name, a date, and a location. Claire almost threw it away. A formal charity gala downtown. The kind of place she had only ever seen from the outside. The card listed her as a guest, with a note at the bottom written in careful handwriting. "You do not owe me anything. Come only if you want to see the truth for yourself. Ethan." Argata. She stared at the card for a long time. Liam noticed first. "Is that a party?" Claire smiled faintly. "Something like that. Are there cookies?" She laughed despite herself. "Probably better ones than we can afford." And that is night. The night of the event, Claire almost changed her mind 3 times. She borrowed a simple dress from a coworker. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that tried too hard. Liam stayed with the same neighbor he trusted, clutching his blanket and asking when Ethan would visit again. Claire did not answer. When she arrived, the room stunned her. Crystal lights. Tall ceilings. Conversations that sounded expensive even when they said nothing at all. And then she saw him. Ethan stood near the center of the room, calm, composed, unmistakably in his element. Not the quiet man from the caf. Not the volunteer stacking chairs. This Ethan belonged here. Her chest tightened. Before she could retreat, someone whispered his name. Then another. Heads turned. Ethan Cole. The room shifted around him. He stepped forward to the podium without fanfare. "Thank you for being here," he began. His voice was steady, familiar, but different now. "Open. Tonight is not about recognition. It is about responsibility." Claire listened, heart pounding. He spoke about working parents, about childcare, about community centers that held families together when nothing else could. Then he did something no one expected. "I built my success on control," Ethan said. "On distance. On the belief that I could manage outcomes without understanding consequences." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "I was wrong." And then, Claire's breath caught. "This foundation exists because someone showed me what honesty looks like when it costs something." His eyes found hers. Not briefly, not safely. He held her gaze in front of everyone. "This work will continue," he said, "with or without approval. With or without applause. With or without applause." Applause came anyway, loud, earned. But Claire barely heard it. Afterward, as people crowded around Ethan, congratulating him, asking questions, she turned to leave. He caught up to her near the exit. "You came," he said quietly. "I wanted to understand," she replied. And now, she looked back at the room. At the donors. At the power he could not escape even when he tried. "You showed them who you are," she said. "Now show me." He nodded once. "Tell me how." "Do not rescue us," Claire said firmly. "Do not turn my life into a project." "I will not," Ethan replied. "I promise." "Then choose," she said. "Not tonight. Not publicly. Choose every day." He hesitated only a moment. "I already am." Outside, the city felt colder. Real again. Claire did not forgive him that night. But she walked away, knowing something had shifted. Ethan had stood in his truth without hiding. And for the first time since the lie broke everything apart, she believed he was ready to live without a mask. The weeks after the gala felt different. Not louder, not easier, just honest. Ethan did not disappear anymore. And he did not overwhelm. He showed up when he said he would. Left when Claire asked for space. Never crossed lines he had not been invited to cross. Sometimes, that meant sitting on the floor of the community center, helping Liam with homework while Claire finished paperwork. Sometimes it meant walking Claire home and stopping at the door, hands in his pockets, choosing restraint over reassurance. Trust rebuilt itself slowly, like something fragile that knew it could be broken again. One afternoon, Claire found a letter taped inside her locker at work. No logo, no assistant's handwriting, just Ethan's. "I am stepping back from daily operations at the company. Not because I have to, because I choose to. I want a life where I am present, even if that life does not include me being admired." She read it twice, then a third time. That evening, she asked him directly, "You are really doing this?" "Yes," Ethan said. "The board thinks I am having a crisis. I calibrated it. And are you?" He smiled faintly. "If I am, it is the best one I have ever had." The real test came a week later. Liam fell sick. Fever. Bad cough. Claire missed work. Panic set in quickly. Bills did not pause for illness. Ethan arrived without being asked. He brought soup. Medicine. Stayed silent when the pediatrician explained things Claire already knew but needed to hear again. When Claire finally broke down in the hallway, Ethan did not touch her at first. He waited. Then she leaned into him. He held her. "Nothing more. Nothing less." "I cannot afford to fall apart," she whispered. "You do not have to," he replied. "I am here." Later that night, after Liam fell asleep, Claire sat beside Ethan on the couch. "You could solve all of this with one phone call," she said quietly. "I know. I know I'm, and you are not." "No. Tactions. Why?" Because the moment I do," he said, "this stops being real." She studied his face. Exhausted. Sincere. Changed. "You are different," she said. "I am trying to be," he replied. Every day, the transformation did not go unnoticed. People whispered. The press speculated. Former allies questioned his decisions. Ethan let them. For the first time, He was building something that did not need approval. One Saturday morning, Claire found him in the kitchen making pancakes poorly and enthusiastically. Liam laughed from the table. "You are bad at this," the boy declared. Ethan grinned. "I am learning." Today's were and applies. Claire watched them, heart heavy and light at the same time. Later, while Liam played in his room, Claire spoke. "I am still afraid," she admitted, "of the difference between our worlds." "So am I," Ethan said. "But I do not want a life where I hide from what matters." She nodded slowly. "This is not a fairy tale," she said. "No," Ethan agreed. "It is work." She took a breath. "Then stay," she said. "Not as a savior. Not as a secret. As someone who shows up. Dated have soccers. In fact, did have to." Ethan did not answer immediately. He stood, walked toward her, and for the first time, kissed her without hesitation, without fear of what it meant. Just choice. Outside, the city moved on. Loud, indifferent. Inside, something solid was finally taking shape. Not because of wealth, not because of redemption, but because two people chose truth, even when it asked for more than they thought they could give. The first time Ethan said the word family out loud, it surprised him. Not in a boardroom, not in an interview, but in a small kitchen, while Liam sat on the counter swinging his legs, waiting for pancakes that were finally edible. "Are you staying?" Liam asked casually, as if it mattered the same way the weather did. Ethan looked at Claire. She nodded once. "Yes," Ethan said. "I am staying." Life did not suddenly become easy. Claire still worked long hours. Bills still arrived on time. The world still treated Ethan differently the moment his name appeared on a screen. But something fundamental had changed. Ethan no longer lived in disguise, and Claire no longer lived in defense. Months later, the community center held an open house. Nothing fancy. Just food, folding chairs, and families who needed a place to belong. There was no press. Ethan arrived early, carrying boxes. Claire teased him for stacking them wrong. Liam corrected both of them. At one point, a woman pulled Claire aside. "I heard how this place got its funding," she said carefully. "You must be lucky." "Privier people." Claire smiled politely. "No, I am careful." Across the room, Ethan watched her laugh with someone new. Not performative, not guarded. Real. That night, after Liam fell asleep, Ethan and Claire sat on the couch, the city quiet beyond the window. "I never thanked you," Ethan said. "For what?" "For seeing me," he replied. "When I was hiding, the most aconid." Claire considered that. "You did the harder part. You stayed when it mattered." He reached into his pocket, hesitating. "I am not asking for anything," he said quickly. "No surprise, no pressure." She raised an eyebrow. "Then what is that?" Ethan held out a simple ring. Not extravagant, not symbolic of status. "I spent my life building things that could disappear overnight," he said. "This is the first thing I want to build slowly. With you. If you want that too, it's a machine for cast." Claire did not answer right away. She looked toward the hallway where her son slept. Toward the kitchen where mornings had become something she no longer dreaded. Toward the man who had learned that love was not something you tested. "Yes," she said finally. "But we do it our way." Ethan smiled. "I would not know any other way anymore." They did not rush. They told Liam first. Then friends. Then the world. On their own terms. There was no headline dramatic enough to capture what really happened. A billionaire stopped pretending. A single mother stopped bracing for loss. A child gained a man who showed up every single day. And if you ask Ethan now what changed his life, he does not mention the company or the fortune. He says this instead: "I went on a blind date, pretending to be someone else, and a woman who had nothing to gain chose me anyway." Sometimes, the greatest reveal is not who someone is. It is who they become when they finally stop hiding.